Coming up on UPH, Aaron gets the runs.
Those wings are blinding. Death-defying leaps into hay.
And more on this episode of Unbelievable Power Hour.
Oh, what's wrong? I feel sick. I think I swallowed some of the monster vomit. Oh, that's not good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unbelievable Power Hour, your mind-blowing source for gaming news, information, and adventure. I'm Dan DeHaan, and with me today is...
I'm Aaron Wiesinger.
Hello, Aaron Wiesinger. How are you?
I'm good, Dan. Thank you for asking me.
You are welcome.
How are you?
I care about how you are doing today. And how you're doing every day.
Yeah, aw.
How was your week? What you went for a yog this morning, didn't you? You got to be exhausted.
Yogging today. I took the year off and didn't run at all, and then I decided I'm going to run a race today.
That's not very
Real
good preparation for a race.
Yeah, not really. My girlfriend and her dad and I went to a race. He's part of like a marathon club, I guess, running club. They meet every weekend. And yeah, so I did the same thing last year. However, last year I actually prepared.
You didn't prepare at all this year.
No, I just actually, my girlfriend and I both went into it blind, and well, not blind, just totally unprepared.
Blindfolded.
Put on blindfolds. Let's do this.
The scariest marathon ever.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're watching and wondering why the hell is Aaron's face so pink, it's not because I'm super embarrassed, and it's not because I really did get the runs. It's because I went for a run today.
Yeah. I can't wait to get a sunburn.
Yeah.
Again.
They're pretty fun.
You can't really get a sunburn from the reflection of snow.
You guys still have a lot of snow, right?
It's pretty much gone. Like there's still like a couple of big piles, and there's probably like a snowman that's half melted in someone's yard, but
right.
It's gone for the most part.
I always love those like end of the season huge piles. They look like dirt, but it's just disgusting, filthy snow.
Like white,
hasn't melted.
White dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my day. What about you?
Still cloudy and gray here, so.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Awesome.
Can't wait to get a nice bronze, primer.
The golden glow. Yeah. How was your week?
I had a busy week. I did some traveling this week for work. Had a video I needed to produce in Bruce, Mississippi.
Oh.
Very small town. And I'm talking... Like when hey, is there any place to eat around here? Yeah, down at the bait shop. You can go get some. Thanks.
They don't include the bait on the menu.
No.
Yeah.
no crawdads. Nothing like that.
So how was it?
It was good. It was a day of travel. Then we went to the plant and started planning, and then I shot the video for about 11 hours the next day, and then the other day was traveling again. Yeah. But on the way back to the airport, we stopped by the town of, I think it's Como, Mississippi.
Okay.
And I had the best steak I have ever had in my life.
That's saying a lot because you have eaten a lot of steaks.
I have. I love steak. And I would say it's not like oh man, just slap a piece of meat in front of me and I'm gonna eat it. No, it's like I'm very prideful about the steak and the meat
Yeah.
I eat, and I'm just like I'm insulted if someone puts a piece of trashy meat in front of me.
Yeah.
And when I eat steak, I go for the ribeye. The ribeye is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. You're one of those guys.
Yeah, I am one
I
of those
see.
guys. And this was magnificent. It was
Can you
so good.
describe it for me?
Well, it was 20-ounce ribeye steak.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was aged. There might have been a little green on it.
Okay.
That's the way you're supposed to let it age a little.
Okay.
A lot of people are like, "Ew, it's got green on," and it's like, no,
That's
that means it's good. Those
Right.
are flavor crystals
Yeah.
that are growing on it.
Yeah.
And they have some sort of marinade that they, drenched it in, and then they have huge, like I think charcoal grills, and they grilled it to perfection, and
Nice.
then let me eat it. And I just two-hand it. I use both hands and then just bring that steak up to my mouth and start.
You forgo the fork and knife.
I'm just
getting
kidding.
in there.
I'm just kidding. But also, like even the baked potato, I was like, this is the best baked potato I've ever had.
Wow.
Like it had a full ice cream scoop of butter on it, and I'm not joking. It
I
literally had that much butter, and I removed most of the butter.
Right.
It was just so good.
Yeah.
And for anyone out there, if I would say like the best meat that you can buy that isn't from either getting a cow or going to a small butcher,
Mm-hmm.
Costco, the big warehouse store,
They actually have
for
a
all your
Costco
needs.
here.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They have some of the best meat
Oh.
at
I'll have to
Costco.
check that out then.
Yeah. So I love my meats. All right, everybody, it's time for the weekly playlist. This is where Aaron and I talk about the games that we've been playing all week. And even though we've been busy, we always game. Because yeah. So what have you been playing this week, Aaron?
I'm not sure if you knew. I think you do. That Reaper of Souls came out.
Reapist of Souls.
Reaper.
I wonder if they went through product testing to see what name people responded the most positively to.
Yeah.
They cringed when they heard Reapist of Souls.
Inappropriate. So
I did hear. And you know what? I've been watching your Let's Play videos, and I love them.
Oh, good. Thank you.
They put me to sleep at night because I have ASMR, and so I get the chills listening to you as I fall into a trance. So keep making Let's Play videos, please.
I think I'm
Oh,
touched. Thank you.
it touches my spine. It feels like someone's tickling my spine when I listen to your Let's Play videos.
It just hits the right sonic spot
Yes.
in Dandahan.
So what do you think of Reaper of Souls?
I am really loving it. There are a lot of the things that I enjoy came out in the 2.0 patch.
Yes.
But I think to fully take advantage of the newness, you have to get the Reaper of Souls, the full $40 add-on.
Gives you it gives you another level to play, right? Like
Yes, you get Act 5.
Act 5, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you also get a new character class.
The Crusader.
Right? The Crusader, which I think he looks awesome. He looks fun to play.
Yeah, super cool. Like really intense paladin. I mean, I don't know if it's really that much different from a paladin.
Oh, really? So he's not that cool, is he?
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's always got this huge flail that looks horrible but awesome.
Yeah.
And a shield that looks like it weighs like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool.
I've been playing some Diablo 3 this week. Have not started playing Reaper of Souls, but I do love the game. I love it. I think it's a
Yeah.
really fun game. It's a game that you can either like play and focus on and put some energy into, or
Hmm.
you can play it and just watch a little bit of the Rockford Files on Netflix or Magnum PI on Netflix while you're
Right.
playing.
Right.
Does
Oh,
anyone watch that still?
I've never heard of the Rockford Files.
I don't even know if that's on Netflix. There's a bunch
I
of 50-year-olds that are listening to our show right now, though. They're like, I loved the Rockford.
right on.
I didn't even know they were on Netflix. I'm going to have to get that now.
um, so I think like that is a very good point that I wanted to illustrate. I started the game again. Like I played through Diablo 3 several times, and so like I could jump straight into Act 5. But I wanted to start over. It's been a while. I mean, like I played it a few weeks ago, but not like crazy intensely. And I wanted to really like get good at it again, like feel like I knew what I was doing. So I started over with the Crusader, wanted the whole new experience, and from level 1 to what is it? I think not. What is
Is
it?
it 90
60?
now? It's
It's
either
90.
70 or 90.
It's I get confused between that and WoW, like what the level
Yeah.
caps
Yeah.
are. But anyway, they've increased the level cap, and so I'm going to be doing Let's Play videos all through that. I think I'm level high teens. We'll say
Yeah.
that.
The one video I just watched, you were 14 or something, or 16, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, you're rocking these vids.
Yeah,
Between
it's
WoW
really
and
cool.
Diablo.
I can't stop playing games. I have
Yeah.
a problem. But I think, like you were saying, uh, you can, if you keep it on normal difficulty level, you can keep it a very casual experience and do something else. You could totally like not be thoroughly engaged in the game.
Yeah.
Um, but I was sort of getting annoyed, and I talked about it a little bit in the Let's Play videos, like how easy it is. Like it was still fun, but it was very easy. Like I never felt threatened really.
Yeah.
Even like huge groups of guys that come up, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, I got this.
And the one thing I thought was frustrating is I was like, why am I never using my other abilities aside from just like the left and right click?
Yeah.
Because you get like a combination of I think like 4 skills that you can use, and then you can swap
To
those
assign
out.
to the numbers. Number
Right.
3, 4. Yep.
Right. And so I was never using my abilities, and they sound cool, but never touched them. And so I was like, I'm gonna ratchet it up to hard. And then as soon as I did that, like that's when I actually had to start caring about like I got to use this circle of healing so that I don't die here. I got to use this like attack increase. Like everything started to be viable, and it suddenly got like it went from a very casual experience to like, okay, you got to pay attention,
Yeah.
or you will die. Which I enjoy.
I use the special powers just for fun. I mean, I throw them in there just for a little variety and stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. I've never felt like in peril.
Yeah.
I've died maybe twice at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I'm level 14.
Okay.
That might be where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, and maybe ratcheting it up to hard might make it so I have to be more engaged. I kind of like the casualness of it though.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of appeals to me.
Okay.
You like to like analyze the equipment, the loot that you get, and like you
Mm-hmm.
get down to the nitty gritty details of
Right.
I noticed this will, it's heavier, so it's going to slow me down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things. Is that a fair?
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing I mentioned, like, why don't they show the percentages? Like, they just say like it increases this skill by a little bit, but that's
like,
also an
for instance,
option.
was it luck or something like that you mentioned?
It was like
It's not luck.
increases, like just for example, like attack speed. Let's say,
Okay.
like it increases attack speed by a little bit for 3 seconds. And I'm like, well, what does a little bit mean? Like, I like to know those things. So that's an option in the menu system. You can actually check off, like, where it will give you detailed information.
Yeah.
Like, it will increase it by 15% for 3 seconds. So that was really cool. I forgot that they actually did that. So yeah, I think it's cool that you can kind of make it whatever you want. And like, if you want it, like you said, to have that really casual experience, or if you want to make it more, I guess, not intense, just more engaged. If you want
Yeah.
to be more engaged in it, then you can.
What do you think of the new loot system?
I love it. It's gone from like picking up 90% trash or stuff that you would just be salvaging to every time you get a weapon or a new piece of armor, like I want to look at it because I know it will likely be usable by my class.
Like, there's a consideration then. You have to consider, all right, do I want to make this? It might be slightly more powerful in one way and slightly weaker in another, but there's a consideration to make. Is that how you would?
Yeah. Like if you get stuff that's of the bear, like it'll give you increased vitality, but you'll lose some of the strength that you might have gotten from something else. So like you really have to sort of balance out sort of between what your play style is and what would be best for your character.
Well, and that's good because that's one thing. I guess I never make the connection that, oh, this loot system is flawed when I'm playing, because I would notice, man, I pick up a lot of just junk, and I'm, just trying to get back so I can sell it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that'll be a nice difference to, to play the game and be able to make those considerations with the loot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically, it seemed like, oh, you're picking up a lot of the same stuff too in the old loot system.
Yeah, definitely. And they also made so like normal weapons are like useful in the salvage area. Like it used to be if you were picking up what you would call trash, which is just like white or gray, like in terms of like what the lettering is on the naming, you would just sell it. But now they have a salvage item that's just like, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, like it's something that you need to use to construct other things. And the same thing works in like the Loot 2.0. It's not just drops from mobs in the game. It's also when you craft things. Like it used to be like you would have to go through maybe like 10 iterations of crafting something before you would get something that's actually useful to you. So
Yeah.
now like whatever you make, it will almost definitely be useful to you.
I haven't done any of the crafting in the game. What's that like?
So like if you get like a normal item, it'll be broken down into something. If you get a magical item, it'll be broken down into a different category of salvage item, like a base element of something. And so like the different things that you break down, you'll also pick up like legendary salvage materials. And then they also did a really cool thing in the salvage system where it was before you would see like everything listed that you could make, and so you'd have to scroll through a lot of items. But now they've changed. I think they've changed. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a filter on there where it will only show you items that's like the highest usable for you. So it goes from a list of like 200 to a list of like maybe 15, if that. So
Now, I had a pal over yesterday, and we were kind of talking about the auction house. That's gone now, also with
right.
Reaper of Souls. And he told me about how he went into the auction house and I believe bought 200 million gold for $1. So that's insane.
That is fairly cheap, I would say. You can also like you share gold between all of your characters.
Yeah.
So like I've got high level characters I've got like a ton of money from, so I can not worry about
The
cash
moolah.
at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't want to talk about this for the whole show, but I could. Like I really love the game.
Yeah, I think it's a great game, and I want to make the effort to play it more. I tend to suffer from like I just want to have a little bit of a taste of every game that's out there. I want to have some of that, and it's like a dessert platter.
Yeah.
And I just want a bite of that. You want to share your dessert with me?
Just a bite.
But this is one that I definitely want to make the effort to play more because I have fun with it. And I actually last week played, and that time rather than have my attention split between watching TV and playing the game, I just focused on the game. And I just really like it.
Yeah.
Are there any graphical improvements since the latest update?
Maybe, but I actually had to turn mine. And maybe they did because I had to turn my resolution down.
Yeah.
So instead of playing at the I think 1600 by 900, then I played at 1280 by 720.
Because I noticed in your Let's Play videos that it looked better to me, and I don't know if it was just because I'm watching it on YouTube. Well, that doesn't make sense. It should look worse on YouTube than actually playing it.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I guess with the smaller, compact and the smaller screen, it might look a little more
A little sharper.
clear. Yeah, a little sharper. And so,
Sure.
yeah, I wondered. Because it wasn't always, it's never been praised for its graphical power. So
Yeah. It looks good, but not holy. Yeah.
Holy mother! So you also put some WoW time in as well this week. How's that going?
I was super busy with Let's Plays this week, actually.
Yeah, you were.
That's I had a lot of fun with it. So I was doing a lot of
vlogging too.
Well, I'll talk about that in a minute, which
Yeah.
is exciting. So I continued along with WoW. Not as much because I was really getting into the D3 this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, still. The one thing I'm getting a little weirded out by is maybe it's just because I'm a seasoned veteran of WoW, I would say.
Yeah.
And but it feels a little disjointed. I guess if you go through and you play the quests from area to area, I think you could still sort of feel like a pretty well-connected storyline. If that's important to you, when I started playing the game, for me that was important. I liked following that track. And feeling
that was something that actually I haven't ever really felt in the game, so that's why I don't play it a lot.
Yeah. So now, playing through, there are so many possibilities to go from one area to the next. And if in between you decide, hey, I'm gonna go do a dungeon, I feel like suddenly, because you level up so much faster when you run dungeons, pound for pound, you level up amazingly fast if you run dungeons more. So if you do that and then you level up several times and you come back to your quest, suddenly quests will be because they're ranked in terms of red, orange, yellow, green, and then gray in terms of quest difficulty. If you leave and then you come back and suddenly quests are gray, you're not going to get nearly as much experience for them. So it starts to feel well, what's the point of even doing this one anymore? And so it sort of leaves you a little disjointed because you come back and then suddenly you got to complete all these trash quests and still do them to sort of follow the story, but at the same time you're not leveling your character as much, so it gets frustrating.
Yeah,
so
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's just you seem to be someone that really likes a challenge. And once you don't feel challenged, it's kind of just like going through the motions. All right, I got to get this done.
Yeah, because I think you're dead on. Collecting rabbit skins is not always the most fun activity, and especially if I have to do that and at the same time it's not really benefiting me, then then I'm just gonna move on.
Do you kind of feel like you just want to get back to the basics with WoW? Has it become just such a huge game with so many options of different things you can do that it's watered it
Yeah,
down?
I think like I mean I talked about the exploration aspect of it before, and like somebody was giving a really good description of like through the updates they made over the years, like what they call Vanilla WoW, which is just the initial release.
Yeah.
And the Burning Crusade, they talk about that as like the golden era of World of Warcraft. And like when I first started playing, which was Vanilla WoW, and it was like you had to explore to find quests, and when you did, it told you the area that you needed to go. And so like I really felt like I was on an adventure. Like I
Mhm.
don't feel like I'm on an adventure anymore.
And
Like
what aspect then takes you away from that adventure the way it is now?
part of it, I've whined about it a lot. Part of it is the like pointing you from one spot to the next, like very exactly. And part of it is just like I feel they almost give you too many choices. Like you can go, especially from the beginning, like it branches really rapidly. It used to be like you go from one settlement to the next and you kind of follow a basic storyline.
Yeah.
But now they give you like, okay, you can report to this guy or this guy. Depending on which one you report to, you then start that quest line.
Does the game feel like it has a little like ADD now? Like it's
Yes.
just like it's like there's hyper focus. I mean, you have
Mhm.
so many options, and
Right.
it's hard to just to be focused on the game.
Yeah. So I feel like when I'm playing, like it's fun and I like playing the character and doing all the stuff. It's just like I don't really feel like I'm getting much out of like the world anymore.
Yeah,
Like
the
you're
World
just
of Warcraft.
yeah, that world is gone.
Well, maybe it's time for them to offer another experience in MMO form. And
Yeah.
there's been rumor that they're working on one, but
Mhm.
maybe that will give you that. It'll start at vanilla, whatever their next game is, and you'll be able to get
Yeah.
that experience.
And I sort of heard with the Warlords of Draenor expansion coming up soon, like they're trying to go back a bit to some of their earlier form of like Vanilla and Burning Crusade era type stuff. So I'm curious if maybe that'll sort of change my mind on some of the things that
You
I've
know,
been
I,
thinking.
I've heard people like, oh, they need to come out with a sequel for World of Warcraft,
No, they
and
don't.
that's a bad idea. I think
Yeah,
that's a terrible idea.
yeah. I
It's like
mean,
that's exactly what EverQuest did, and
mhm.
they lost all of their players.
Yeah.
It not literally all their players, but pretty much because I think the servers are going to get shut down over there or have been, and
Mhm.
I don't think there's much of a EverQuest online experience left.
I don't think so. And I think part of it too is like there was no porting of characters from one game to the next. It was like if you want to do EverQuest 2, that's a whole new game.
Yeah,
So like suck it up. Like
and
you got to do it.
I think WoW learned from that mistake, and they will not make that mistake.
I really doubt it. Yeah.
The people at Blizzard are pretty smart.
Yeah.
So you did start vlogging this week.
I
So
did.
we have footage of you on our YouTube channel
Yeah.
holding up a sexy, sexy PS4.
I was holding up this bad boy right here.
That PS4 box right there. So
I
you've got one.
yeah. I decided to make the trip on Saturday to electronics.
Boutique?
Yeah.
They still have
Babbage's,
electronics.
actually.
Was it really Babbage's?
No, I
Oh,
wish.
okay.
There's like
Was it
a
Funko
massive
Land?
trade to get some crappy trades on games.
Do you remember
No,
Funko Land? Were
I
you
do.
old enough? Yeah, that.
That's where I got my Genesis debacle, where I traded my NES for the Genesis.
And like gave your parents a house to Funko Land just so you
Yeah.
could get a Genesis.
Yeah. And Cyborg Justice.
I'd like to take another mortgage on my parents' house so I can get a Genesis. All right, that'll be $5 credit.
You ass.
So what do you think?
Sorry.
Oh, before you
Uh,
go into what you think, though, I want to hear, because you're in South Korea,
I
so what was in the U.S. The PS4s are $399.
Yeah.
So what did you end up paying for yours?
I ended up paying 560,000 won, which is about between 530 and $540. So
Oh
I
wow.
got the PS4 plus a game for that.
Oh,
The
okay. So you
actual
did get a
system
game.
itself was like maybe 475,
Oh wow. So
something like
that's
that.
that's a considerable amount. But what would it have cost you to import a US PS4?
You know, with just shipping costs are crazy. Like I could have asked my parents or somebody in the US to ship me one, but because there's no like region locking on the systems,
Hmm.
there's no point. And by the time like you ship stuff, I mean, I shipped something back to my parents a couple weeks ago and it's $50 for
Yeah.
like, I don't know, 5 pounds worth of something.
So it's not even worth doing that at that point. It's if it comes to $10, $20, at
Yeah,
least the convenience of having it right now is worth that.
exactly. I mean, there are a lot of things that I'd rather just like pick up here, and I know that they include the import cost into it, and it's a bit more expensive, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, I am really really liking it so far, and you're right. The PS4 controller is infinitely better than the
Dun
PS3.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dan was right.
Hey.
That's a new segment on UPH. So he's holding up his PS4 controller that he adores.
Yeah, here she is. It's the handles, like they feel like the roundness to them feels better.
Yeah, it contours to your hand much better than the stupid PS3 controller.
Yeah, agree. My only complaint I was telling you is like the options button is right here if you're watching, and it's kind of hard to see on a black controller, but it's like right next to this massive touchpad slash button.
Yeah.
So if you press options, then like you can very easily press the button as well. The other design choice, and I'm not sure why, is most of the time on at least like the PS3 and the Xbox 360, like
The far right
this,
button
yeah, the far
is
right
the
button, which
back.
yeah, on the PS4 controller, it's the circle, so that would normally be back, and X would be confirm, but they swapped them.
Yeah.
Now, it's not an uncomfortable spot to have a confirm, but it's just, it goes against my way of thinking, so I'm very often accidentally canceling out of things.
Yeah.
So that's weird. But
I would say as far as the controller, I mean it's not better than the 360 controller.
mhm.
It's different than the 360 controller. I would say that it is on par with the 360 controller, but it is different. You know,
Yeah, I
I
would agree.
I wouldn't say that one is necessarily better than the other. It
Mhm.
might come down to your preference of having your left and right analog sticks off center.
Mhm.
If you prefer that, then that would be a big difference. But
Right.
otherwise, as far as the way it feels, your thumbs kind of rest on those analog sticks naturally too. I like where they are. You
Yeah.
did such a great job with the size of the controller.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they definitely learned a lot of design lessons from their previous controllers and didn't just like throw out another one that's a copy. They really did a good job with it.
Between the PS1, the PS2, and the PS3,
Mhm.
the controller was virtually the same. There was
Yeah.
not really a big difference.
Yeah.
So, did the Dual Shock, did that originally get released somewhere in the PS1 release? I'm trying to think.
I think it
I
did.
I think it
I'm almost
was.
positive it did.
And then, but between that and the PS3 initially was supposed to have that boomerang controller, and they just totally axed that, and then went,
Yeah.
well, we'll just go back to the same old, same old.
Yeah.
But the first PS3 controllers, when it was released, did not have rumble. You know, it wasn't
That's
a
right.
real dual shock. So they were super light as well. So not only did they feel crappy in your hand, but it also felt like a light piece of crap.
Which is a
So
bad piece of crap. Nobody wants the
yeah,
crap to be light.
I want a good, heavy piece of crap with substance, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
if I'm
It's
going to
not so
hold it
much to
in my
ask
hand.
for.
So yeah, this was just a huge, huge jump in the right direction. So what
Yeah.
game did you get?
I got Assassin's Creed 4.
Oh, nice. That's a good
Yeah.
game. You can put a lot of time into that, and that's a good first game, I think.
Yeah. And there's not, a ton of stuff out, and I was also sort of limited because at the store I just wanted to buy the console, but they said you have to buy a game with it. So like there were two games that had like native English like as the audio. So Assassin's Creed 4 and
Oh.
Infamous Second Son.
They made you buy a game?
Yes, I could
Why?
not just buy the console. I don't know.
That is weird.
I
Huh.
think like actually there was because is there still a shortage of the PS4s in the US?
A
Would you say?
little. I don't think so now so much. But as of like, within the last couple of weeks,
Right.
I've heard that they've gotten more shipments just, recently. So,
Okay.
like when Titanfall came out, it sounds like, there were consoles again.
Yeah. Because that was sort of a non-issue, but yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that, aside from them just wanting more money. But
Well, maybe there's a shortage in your area.
maybe, yeah.
I'll be curious to. Well, I didn't even consider that. The dialogue,
hmm
the language barrier there for you. I mean, you know some Korean, but
Right,
you have to get those, get the games that are, try and find them that natively speak English.
right. So I got to do that or like deal with import stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
And so it's a good thing that it's, not region locked.
yeah. And that was like I did a lot of research before I got it because that was a big concern of mine is not being able to play certain things that I get. And real quick before we talk about what you played this week, I want to talk about how small this thing is. Like it is like underneath the lip of my TV, like it, and with still room to go, like maybe 5 inches tall,
Wow.
like that gap.
Yeah, I was impressed too. I can't quite slide it under my TV a little
Mhm.
bit. I mean, I can just get it kind of wedged under there, but not. I can't actually just slide it under the TV.
Okay.
But that's just my TV. Probably doesn't have, the tallest base.
Sure, sure.
But you're right. It is. It's almost. It's not much bigger than the PS3 Slim.
hmm
And I really like that form factor. It's really nice.
Yeah. So it's super quiet, it's small. I like the controller. I'm really excited to get some time in this week with Assassin's Creed.
Well, I actually got a PS4 camera this week.
Oh,
And those have been in short supply.
yeah.
And I walked into Meijer to do a little grocery shopping. That's our kind of local Walmart.
hmm
And they're sitting behind the cabinet, glistening in all of its glory, was a PS4 camera.
Nice.
And it was just one, and I
Mhm.
quickly snagged it. I was like, "Get over here, lady! Bring the keys!"
Did you do the scorpion? Get over here.
Yes, and blades and a chain came out of my arm, and she was dead, so I had to get somebody else to get the keys.
Shouldn't have done that.
Whoops. And yeah, I ended up getting one, and so I'm glad to have one because I want to do the Twitch streaming and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's easier to interact with the audience of one or two stragglers that are like, "What's this link?"
Yeah.
It seems like I have some Facebook friends that just click whatever link appears in front of them, no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Dan playing games. At least they'll be able to see my face now, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how well that works, like especially from my end watching you play.
It's
I'd like to see some
cool.
live.
I love it. The only downside is like when you do play, it makes your screen as far as what you see gaming, a
Mhm.
little smaller.
Oh.
So it kind of shifts over. You have a field on the bottom for comments, and then you see your camera in the upper right-hand corner. So it kind of frames it with that.
Okay.
But it's actually not bad because I only have a 46-inch screen TV. The
Mhm.
scaling is perfect. I mean, it scales it. There isn't like any weird like artifacts or anything like that because it's crunching everything.
Right.
So that's what I appreciate about it. So I'm just
Mhm.
like, well, I don't see how they could do it any other way, and it works, and it's great. I
That's
I
good.
always like a ton of game real estate. I'm like,
Mhm.
make it as big as possible.
For sure.
But it's awesome. We actually the first game I was going to talk about is Towerfall.
Mhm.
I played that on the PS4, and I had a friend over, Mr. Prias. He helped us out with our movie, and we have some dealings with him
Mhm.
every now and then. He came over,
Awesome.
and we played Towerfall together, which is an archery fighting game.
Is
Like
that a genre?
it
Genre?
is now.
Yeah.
It's 2D, 16-bit, and it's kind of like you could compare it to Super Smash Brothers,
Okay.
but all you're doing is shooting arrows at each other.
No.
And it's totally retro. Like it's not even a widescreen game. It's in that 4:3 format.
Yeah.
It has a couple of bars like that has artwork on the sides,
Right.
and it's a ton of fun. We played it for a little while. We actually
Mhm.
streamed it through the PS4, and I could see having a blast with 3 or 4 players. It was
Yeah.
fun with two, but I think the real experience would be with more people.
Where was Brittany when all this was happening?
She was at work,
Oh.
and I don't have 3 controllers either. So,
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
but
So
I
how do
really
they
like it.
different? Oh, awesome.
What's
Like
that?
how do they differentiate between if you're all shooting arrows? Like, are you playing like different classes or?
Yeah. I mean, you select characters that I think it's implied that they are different classes. I don't know if they're classes or just from different. Um, like one is like a prince or something like that, and another one seems like they might be a magician in robes,
Okay.
but you're only shooting arrows. That's it.
Okay.
And you can, if you hold the button, you can use the analog stick to aim where your arrow goes, like aim the direction. Otherwise, you're just like jumping and shooting.
Yeah.
And you can also, so they do it like in wins, like the first 1 to 5, 5 or 6 victories
Yeah.
wins the match.
Yeah.
So you can either shoot them with an arrow,
Mhm.
or you can jump on them, like pounce them
Mhm.
like Mario style on a Goomba.
Sure. Sure.
And then there are also power-ups that appear.
Mhm.
So some of those power-ups are a shield, or it'll convert your arrows into bomb arrows. So like you
Okay.
shoot it and it'll blow up.
Mhm.
A little bit of the map is destructible also,
Mhm.
but then it also has that Pac-Man style of map where it's like if you exit from the left, you'll suddenly appear on the right, or if you
Okay.
drop
Yeah.
from the bottom, you'll appear from the top. And
Yeah.
that really adds a lot of like complexity and excitement to it because someone will just appear out of nowhere when
Right.
you might have been focusing on getting a power up
Mhm.
and you don't pay attention to where they were, and then all of a sudden they're right
Yeah.
there in front of you blasting you.
Right. It looks pretty like action packed, like pretty fast paced.
It's a scramble, is what I would say. It's just like you're scrambling to get things, and because those power ups can make a difference.
Yeah.
And I'd say the most fun is like at some point John got all of the power ups. Like that might happen. Like he'd get the shield and he'd get the
Mhm.
invisibility, and I've only got like 2 arrows left because you only start with like 3 arrows, something like
Oh.
that. So
Mhm.
you shoot your arrows, you have to go collect them.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
that's
cool.
cool too.
Yeah.
And then, but what would happen is like there would just be this scramble. He's got all the power ups, and I'm like just jumping around trying to dodge whatever he's throwing at me, and then you actually like he makes a wrong move and you land on top of him and you win, even though you were totally outgunned.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
that really makes the experience fun.
Uh-huh.
Now the
Very cool.
game actually started out on the Ouya.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was released last year on the Ouya, and it was like the only game that the Ouya has been just praised for having.
Right.
And the Ouya just doesn't, you know.
It's not your thing.
Well, I don't think it's anybody's thing.
It's not my thing either.
So they're like, we got to release this on other platforms.
Yeah. This was the PS4, right?
Yes, and it is also on the PC.
Yeah. I think it's funny. I mean, I know there's been a change of heart in terms of like people like being accepting of like the old, not as good graphic style.
Yeah, retro graphics.
Yeah, like retro graphics. I don't know what those are. But it seems funny, like the PS4 is such a new, like touted as this powerful machine, and then playing like Towerfall, where they put the bars on the side.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where, you're at the point where gaming is an art form when you can totally disregard the power of a system and just make it like what your vision is, make the game look like it. Even if it is, these are, I'd say, 16-bit graphics. I think that's where gaming becomes an art form. I think like a lot of the, as far as like 3D animated movies, it was all about trying to make the most realistic looking effects, like as far as a fully 3D rendered movie.
Right.
And more, it's like once you get past that point where you're pushing the power, you get to the point where it's like you start thinking about ways to differentiate and ways to pay an homage to maybe older style animations and things like that. And I think that's kind of the natural progression of CPU power. Is eventually it's like it's so powerful and we can do it. We've been there. We've done that. We did that. Now it's about the art form. And that's when you're going to start to get really cool, just artistic visions. Would you agree with that, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we're in a really cool spot, and like indie developers have their place, and the big AAA titles still have their place. I mean, like a couple guys or one guy can make like an amazing game that you just don't have the time. Even like maybe they don't even want to make like a fully realistic looking game, but also like the manpower is so much more to make something like that massive in scope.
You work within the limitations of whatever your budget, your manpower, the time you have, and I think that's where a lot of great innovation comes out of. It's like because you have that passion to create, but you have to work within those limitations. And so it's about making the best thing that you can out of what you have available to you. And that brings us to another Unhappy Campers plug. Just surpassed 20,000 views on YouTube.
Isn't that
Thank
crazy?
you, everybody. That is. We should do like a special edition podcast of this. Just try and get some of the people from the movie. And talk to them about the experience and everything we remember. Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be fun.
Yeah, we should do an MST3K style watching.
Yes, that's another great idea. Boy, I love YouTube commenters. That is, there's like
they're the best.
You have to have a thick skin to be able to put anything out there. Some of the comments, there's some great feedback. Like you read through them. If you ignore the garbage, people like, oh, it's a great homage to the 80s, and I laughed, and it was fun. But then you have one guy that just wrote, F you, man. And that was his comment.
Yeah, that was his contribution to the conversation about the movie.
Thanks. No constructive criticism or anything, just F you, man.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hilarious if like real movie critics just were YouTube commenters.
Seriously, just total inappropriate
Like you just
bashing.
open up a newspaper and read a review for Anchorman 2 and it just says F you, man. Wow, yeah.
Oh.
So anyways,
Agreed.
youtube.com/unhappycampersmovie. Check it out.
Yeah.
So I also played Diablo 3 this week. Do we have anything else on Towerfall before I move on? Did you
I
have any
don't think
questions?
so.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. It's $15 on PSN, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
I also played Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other game that I played this week was The Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 2, A House Divided.
Mm-hmm. That's a long title.
This was the episode that I haven't completed it yet. I think I'm hour and a half in,
Okay.
and I'm doing a Let's Play on our YouTube channel for that. And
Check it out.
my Let's Play, unfortunately, you haven't been able to watch
Yeah.
my Let's Plays just because you don't want to be spoiled, and I respect that. I understand that. I think you should buy the games and play them
I know. I will.
just for the purpose of watching my Let's Plays.
So I can watch the Let's
Not
Play.
so you can enjoy the game or anything like that. So I do my Let's Play. I try to do it in MSTK, Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, where that's you just
An
hear me
amazing show.
gabbing through
Yeah.
the game and making fun of stuff. I'm not nearly as good as Tom Servo, but
Don't sell yourself short.
yeah, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I really like. This is the one that has me hooked as far as like this is a good season so far.
Yeah.
And I'm just, again, it's like it seems like they know what they're doing. I wish that the people at Telltale that are writing the games were writing the show. I can't talk about the game without talking about the show.
Right.
I also read the comic this week too, and
Uh-huh.
I'd put game first, comic second, show third.
Wow. That seems
And
so sad. I mean, not to be
I don't
disparaging of games,
Yeah.
but like the comic is supposed to be like the original form. Like that should be its distilled awesomeness, I would think.
the comic is milking the cash cow though, and
Yeah.
the game is it just seems like I know that the game is is made to make money,
It's part of that cow.
but it seems like there's people that really have a vision of this game.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't think Robert Kirkman has any involvement as far as writing. He might be a consultant or something like that, but I don't think he's writing the game. I'm pretty sure he's not. But it's the characters in the game. They're completely relatable characters. They have relatable problems, and that's what's important. I think that's, if you're going to make it a drama, like it's always been characterized as a drama, and the zombies are just secondary characters in this, then that's, I think, is what is the most important thing. And that's what they're getting right. These characters are relatable, and the problems they go through, the problems they deal with. I mean, I actually got annoyed. There's a certain character that's just an idiot, and I got annoyed in a good way. Like, man, there would totally be an idiot like that would screw something up.
Right.
And they make it believable.
Mm-hmm.
And they make characters that are likable, and so I guess that's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
They don't resort to the scare tactics, the jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference. I mean, it's all about focusing on setting the mood, setting the tone, the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Put focus into that, because jump scares,
They're cheap.
they're cheap. And I don't mind them once in a while, because if you've got me feeling uneasy and, you can use a jump scare to then make me poop my pants. But it's just like,
Just a little.
But if that's what you resort to episode after episode after episode,
Yeah.
and the characters are dumb, I mean, I think Daryl is cool on the show, but wow, he's now like this weird emo biker hillbilly. And I'm like, I have never met anyone like that. I mean,
Right.
seriously, he's got like a Jared Leto haircut where it's like straight down and cut at an angle, and
Yeah.
like this
It looks real
pretty
greasy.
weird puckery look on his face all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But
And he wears a poncho, doesn't he?
I think he does. Who doesn't wear a poncho
True
at
that.
some point in their life? But the game is it's good.
Mhm.
And I'm really digging it. So, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say about that. I did get a PS4 camera, so I'll just expand on that before we move on to news. But the PS4 camera is pretty cool. It has some like Connect features, like voice commands and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the augmented reality part is what is the coolest. Like, I started squirting all of these robots out of the controller in the playroom,
Yeah.
and then you
That
can
sounds
like
disgusting. By
you
the
can
way.
like kick them and swipe them and move them, and they start screaming and stuff like that, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
That sounds fun. I
yeah,
can't wait to get that.
and then you can use it for the like Twitch streaming and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely a good purchase. All right, everybody, it is time for news, and this seems like it's going to be an extended edition of Unbelievable Power Hour because we got into some good gaming conversation.
Yeah.
So we'll have to try and breeze through these news stories a little. But the first story we want to talk about is Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg and company
Mhm.
bought the Oculus Rift for $2 billion.
That is a lot of dough.
$2. No, $2 billion.
Yeah.
Paperboy from
No.
Better
Yeah.
Off Dead.
Sorry.
Better Off Dead impression.
Yeah,
So-
they went from getting 2.4 million from Kickstarter, like backing, to selling it for 2 billion.
Now that brings up a pretty interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
All of those people that
Mhm.
backed the Oculus Rift
Yeah.
in an amount that adds up to $2.4 million. Should
lot
they
of
get
money.
anything out of this?
I'm curious how it was marketed to them. Like, I didn't actually look at the Kickstarter page or anything like that. So if they were told this is going to be specifically for like gaming or something like that, then I can see how maybe people would be more upset. But if they were just developing it as like a VR technology that we want to make cool, then that's a different thing.
Well, I think if you look at it from the perspective, like, I think how a lot of people on Kickstarter, when they invest in
Mhm.
these Kickstarter initiatives,
Mhm.
I think they see themselves as investors,
Yeah,
but they're not.
right.
You know, they're giving their money to them with only the promise of whatever. Oh, give us $10 and you'll get a T-shirt.
Hmm.
Give us $50 and we'll give you a copy of the game when it comes out.
Right. They're
And-
not suddenly shareholders. you know?
Right, and that is their only promise.
Yeah.
Are those perks that they get for, and giving their money, for essentially just donating their money,
Yeah.
because I don't think there's any way that they can get their money back if the Kickstarter fails.
No, I don't believe so. I mean,
So- it just there's I wonder if there will ever be some changes with Kickstarter and these kind of things, or if it's just going to stay in that pure form where it's like, hey, you're asking for money, you're giving money. I
Right.
bet people will be more reluctant eventually.
Yeah. And maybe like just spell it out more clearly, like you do not have any like creative control by giving us money. Like obviously whoever's developing whatever they're developing like appreciates the like vote of confidence like via cash, but like that doesn't necessarily entitle you to anything.
Yeah, and I think at the very least, I'm guessing that everyone has received, whether it's their, development kit or whatever they were getting, whether it was just like a prototype, and that's what they get for the Kickstarter. I'm guessing that all of those things were long fulfilled
Yeah,
ago,
I'm sure.
and so really, the people at Oculus Rift do not owe the Kickstarter people anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as they lived up to their promise, that's it. They sold, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I think one really cool thing, like I think it's weird that Facebook bought them, but at the same time, like that is a whole lot of money to be putting toward VR. So like if there's a chance of VR becoming like mainstream and not just like a passing thing, then I think like that is where it's going to come from, like a huge amount of cash being injected into this.
Well, some of the things I've heard is now. I think too, on its surface, when you hear, "Oh, Facebook
Hmm.
bought, this for $2 billion," but when you then really start thinking about what Facebook has become as a company, they are becoming as generic as Google. I mean,
Sure.
Google has their hands in everything, and that's what
Yeah.
Facebook is trying to become.
Hmm.
So you have to differentiate Facebook, the social site,
Hmm.
and Facebook, the company, and Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. And from what I've heard, I think it was on one of the Joystick podcast or something. They started talking about this, like some of the reasons why Facebook might have bought Oculus Rift is because of like the derivative potential for the Oculus Rift technology. So what they might be able to do something similar to Google Glass with this technology. All of those types of things.
Sure, sure.
Not necessarily just like for video games.
Yeah.
And the thought is too that this will be beyond video games, and that would be give Oculus Rift the most potential.
Right. And it certainly
Go ahead.
like it certainly moves it out of like I don't want to say gaming in itself is a niche market, but there are still a lot of people who do not game, but almost every single person in the world that's an overstatement, but like a vast majority of people in like the US and whatever, like they use Facebook. So that's suddenly going to elevate it to, getting out of people thinking of it as just like a gaming thing and like getting it in the minds of people who aren't necessarily gamers, but will benefit gamers overall.
Imagine what like social networking and stuff would be like in a virtual realm.
Really gross,
just
probably.
thinking about integrating that.
At
That
first,
would be
really
weird.
gross.
Suddenly you're just going through your high school again, and your high school reunion is all in this virtual reality.
Yeah.
Oh, look. There's my old girlfriend. Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Another interesting thing, though, that happened as a result of this is the creator of Minecraft, Marcus Persson. Is that his name?
Person, I think.
Or Person?
Let's just call him Notch. I think that's what he's.
Yeah, he's
better
missing
known
his
as.
notch. He's they were going to release like a Oculus Rift version of Minecraft, and not anymore.
Yeah. Put the kibosh on that.
Because he says Facebook creeps him out.
Yeah. He goes into a little more detail with like a long letter because he was getting a ton of questions about like why does Facebook creep him out. But it just seems like he's not interested in getting into like the social aspect of that. Like he is very much interested in keeping it in games.
Yeah, and I just don't know that he's necessarily like we talked about. I think the potential for and the reasons why Facebook they're expanding. They don't want to just be in social networking, and that's what I have the feeling that's why they're doing this is because Mark Zuckerberg wants to be Google.
Right.
So, whatever. He can have his opinion on it, but I don't think it's just about like let's change the experience of Facebook, the social networking site with VR.
Right. I really doubt it.
So we'll see then if he starts something up with Sony, maybe, with the Morpheus.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to our next story. There have been some more and more rumors and reports that The Last of Us, one of the coolest games ever, is going to be coming to the PS4.
I would be excited about that. I am excited about this possibility.
I think it's going to happen. I think Sony doesn't quite have their ducks in a row as far as making announcements. Like some people at Sony are hinting to it, and then Sony is officially coming back and saying, "Yeah, we haven't announced it."
Yeah.
But they're not denying that it's going to come out.
Right. And I think actually I'm surprised that this extralife.es which they're a game retailer, like an online retailer.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they haven't. Maybe they have gotten in trouble with Sony, but
because they put a listing of the game up for sale on the PS4, right?
Like a complete package with like the game in a little bag that it shows the price for it and everything. So
yeah, that little bag is pretty specific. It's like, all right, this is gonna happen. I mean, you have a little bag,
right?
Little Last of Us carrying bag, so there must be something going on.
Yeah.
Will you get it for the PS4?
I will. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That is
good. I have not played it at all. I would love to, and I would like more things to play on my PS4 at this point.
And I'm wondering, I can't wait to find out what you think of the experience. I think it's an amazing game. I will even consider buying it for the PS4 and playing it again.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty glowing recommendation since you already have it.
If the, like the graphical up-res and everything, the textures, I mean, if there is enough of a difference that it's like, oh man, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
If there's, I'd say a 20% increase in visual fidelity.
Yeah.
I would get it.
Can I say something real quick about Assassin's Creed 4? I played it for just a couple hours since I got the PS4 yesterday, and I know it's a first generation PS4 game, and I feel like I know it's a first generation PS4 game because when playing it, I think it looks good, but I never felt impressed. I think it looks good. That's probably the most I could say about it, at least so far.
I wonder if you being primarily a PC player has an influence on that.
Sure.
Because going from the PS3 to the PS4, for a while I've been primarily a console player. It felt like a jump.
Okay.
Now that I have a beefier computer, I'm not as floored by the graphical jump between the PS3 to the PS4 because I'm like I can just go up on stairs on my computer and do it as well. Play PS4 quality or better graphics.
Right.
So anyway, I wonder if that influences some of those things.
Yeah.
But now I think the difference about The Last of Us is it is exclusive to the PS3. and
Mm-hmm.
possibly the PS4. So
Sure.
I can't go up on the computer and buy a version that I can blow out the resolution to whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a great game. It's I equate it to, for me, that is a game that I could play once a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having Star Wars. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting it on the level of Star Wars,
Right.
but it's like you can watch Star Wars every couple of years. Like I'm gonna
Sure.
watch at least the original trilogy, or
Yeah.
the whole anthology. But you have it on DVD and then it finally comes out on Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
you buy it on
Yeah.
Blu-ray. You keep
Yeah.
upgrading.
Sure. Sure.
And so I think that's, for me, why The Last of Us is worth another purchase, because it's like, now I have it in that archival. This is the way it was intended to look in all of
Right.
its glory.
It's like a classic.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
really
want to
is.
collect. Yeah.
And it speaks to how The Last of Us was all about the story and the people. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like this action adventure game where, it's just like, it's not House of the Dead where you're just killing zombies.
Yeah.
It, and just everything about it, from the character progression to the ending, is
Mm-hmm.
just, it sticks with you, and you're like, wow, that was an experience.
Yeah. No, I am really excited, and I'm pretty sure these rumors are more than just rumors. And so I'll just say I'm excited for when this comes out on the PS4
Yeah.
because I've heard so many good things, and I know you really loved it, and I really haven't heard a negative thing about the game. So
And
I'm
I hope you like it.
stoked.
I really hope you do.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of stealth in it,
Mm-hmm.
but not a lot. And you don't have to go stealth, but you do have like limited resources as far as your ammunition and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is better to, be stealthy,
Sure.
remain stealth-like.
I like that.
Moving on to the next story, Origin to cease sales of physical games on April 4th. So they're going to stop selling physical copies of their games.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't care that it's Origin. That's not why I put this story in the notes, but it is. I wanted to talk about physical media
Mm-hmm.
as far as a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for instance, I just built my desktop computer.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have an optical drive
Okay.
in the
Oh,
computer. I found a case that doesn't have a bay for optical drives,
mm-hmm.
and I
On
don't have
purpose?
one. Yes. Yep.
Oh.
I knew that I would not want one, and if I did happen to need one, I will go get a cheap external USB
Sure.
drive.
Yeah.
I also do not have optical media on my MacBook Pro.
Oh wow. I didn't even know that was an option for the Pro series.
It's the only option at this point.
I thought that was just the Air that
Nope.
Oh.
All of the Retina display, like the current models, none of them have optical drives.
Oh.
You can buy an external drive with it, but yep, it's all drive free. I don't know
Yeah.
if that started in 2012 or early 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I had a MacBook Pro from 2011.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 17-inch. It was before the Retina displays were released, and
Yeah.
that one had an optical drive. And then after that, they started getting rid of them.
Okay.
And I haven't missed it. That's it's like I realized that, and that's what actually led me to getting my desktop computer without it.
Yeah. I mean, I so very rarely. The only time I open up my CD drive at this point is when I accidentally press the button and it opens up. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's about it. I mean, which I'm really happy about at this point, that we've gotten to that point where most things you get are not in the physical realm. I mean,
Yeah.
storage is plentiful enough and it's safe enough and easy enough to back stuff up that, like, I don't feel uncomfortable with like 90%, almost probably 100% of my games just being digital on my PC. Like, it feels sort of awkward when I got the PS4, like, putting in a CD, because, it just feels so archaic at this point. Like, I'm really curious when our consoles, and I would say probably fairly soon, like, they're going to start switching over to, like, just download it.
I agree. I think there may even be a hardware iteration of our current generation that does not have optical media.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with this. I hope more people start embracing that, and as long as we get to, as long as like if one of these companies goes out of business, they make a way that we get to keep our digital media though, because that's the biggest concern.
That's
Is
the
what
thing.
happens.
Yeah.
If Steam happened to go out of business in the future, they need to somehow make it so we can get our games that we own
Right.
without the use of their service.
Sorry, and I think that would be something that would definitely happen. Like, if for whatever reason they had to file Chapter 11 and restructure, like, part of that would be how are you going to compensate people who have your games? So.
And so another thing that's in the news is FTL is going to be coming out on the iPad, and I'm super excited about this. I love FTL. It's going to come coincide with their update that is coming out for FTL, and it's finally coming out on an iPad. It's a game that is perfect for iPad. It'll be awesome using touchscreen with all of the controls.
Definitely.
I would say that will probably be my preferred way to play FTL.
Yeah. This game is perfect for touchpad.
So I can't wait. That comes out.
Oh, I think I lost.
Why I accentuated bones like that. Accentuated?
Sorry, you cut out for a second. I didn't hear it.
Okay. Stupid Google. I said it'll be 10 bones, and then I just started like gabbing with myself because I was like, Aaron isn't responding. He must not have liked my comment.
Just a little solo bone talk for a couple seconds.
It was very funny. Another thing in the news is retailers have been selling the bundle, Titanfall Xbox One bundle, for $450.
That's a pretty big drop.
This is good news for gamers. It can't be that great of news for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Because that's quite a drop.
Yeah. With the game.
That's
crazy.
That's got to be more than $100 off.
Yeah.
Really, when you consider the Xbone is $500, game is $60. You can buy it for $450 bucks now. Bucks and dollars.
I like ballers.
All right, hey ballers. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where it'll start getting tempting to add an Xbox One to my my collection of consoles.
I would like to have. I also really like that Xbone as a shortening of Xbox One.
Speaking of bones, Xbone is in the news.
Yeah, I would like to include an Xbone in my collection, but I am sorely lacking in space for where I can put things here. So part of like the PS4 being so small is awesome for me, but I know the Xbox One is kind of a monster in comparison.
Now, one thing I might have before I ever have an Xbone is an Xbone controller for my PC. As soon as those official drivers come out for Microsoft, I might be upgrading the 360 controller to that.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that as well.
So, all right, everybody, that's it for news. All right, so it's time for the Retro Game of the Week. We'll quickly run through this. Retro Game of the Week released in 1985, Gauntlet. I love Gauntlet. Warrior need food badly. I played it a bunch. I didn't ever play it in the arcade. I played it on the Commodore 64. And Gauntlet is a top-down game where you're put into this world. You got to make it to the exit. You got to kill all the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It's co-op. It's super fun. There's different classes. There's the warrior. There's Valkyrie and all those other like little elfy dude that shoots arrows and stuff.
Yeah. This is 4-player
Classic.
co-op, right?
Yes, 4-player co-op, and it
Yeah.
is a classic game. There was something eerie about the game. Like, I don't know what it was because I was young when I played it, but
Uh-huh.
it really stuck with me. It creeped me out. It might have been the dungeon, the monsters, just the feeling of being in peril to try and get to that exit. The sound effects, everything, it just added up to it. It still just gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies when I think about playing it. So we'll post a video in the show notes that everybody can watch a little bit of Gauntlet in case they haven't. But they're working on a remake right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. It's time for random stuff. And
Wait,
this
Dan.
week.
Before we do that, let's give something away.
Oh, all right. Yeah, thanks. I'm just like, we got to get to the end of the show. You want to take this away?
Yeah. So this week, last week we gave away a Tomb Raider. We gave a Rame to. Wow, I am having a problem with saying give away. We gave away a copy of Tomb Raider. There we go. To at Gafuff through Twitter. So this week we're going to be giving away Batman Arkham City. I haven't played Arkham City, but I loved Arkham Asylum.
So we're going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to post a question for the giveaway on Twitter, and we're not sure yet what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll post that on Twitter and have people respond to it, and it's probably going to be something where people need to get creative, and we're just going to pick what we think is the best response.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? How do you like them apples?
Want to get a little more engagement with you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Will you marry us? We want to be engaged. All right, so it's time for random stuff, everyone. I want to talk about something.
Okay.
Have you ever been punched?
Not in a fight. Like, fighting with my sister, I don't think that really counts. I've never been punched in the face.
At all.
No.
I have been punched multiple times.
Wow.
Different occasions.
What are you doing to get these punches?
Just spouting my mouth off. That's it. I think I consider myself to be quite hilarious, and when you have a witty sense of humor, you gradually learn when to and when not to crack a joke. And there have been times where people have not appreciated my jokes, and the only way that they could deal with it, rather than talking back or letting me know, hey, I didn't appreciate that joke.
Yeah.
Some people speak with their fists.
A good old knuckle sandwich.
Yeah, and I've been knuckle sandwichized, whatever, a few times through different points of my life. In elementary school, most of them have all been sucker punches as well, which that is the worst of the punches. To just be, at least when you see a punch coming, you can your body will react and you'll tense up and brace for impact. But the sucker punch, you're just walking along and suddenly, bam, impact.
Yeah.
On the playground in elementary school, I was sucker punched. Someone just said, "Hey, Dan," and then punched me because they didn't like my mouth.
Oh.
The worst was probably I was a senior in high school, and someone sucker punched me. I had glasses on as well.
Oh.
So the glasses kind of cut me.
Yeah.
And then another time.
Don't they know that you're not supposed to hit a guy with glasses?
I don't think that's a real rule.
No, that's a thing.
I know that's a phrase, but I don't think it's a real rule.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about to punch you. Will you take your glasses off?
You got it.
And then there was another time in high school where I was punched by a woman.
Oh.
And yeah, so I've had a few poundings. Oh, I don't want to phrase it that way. Sorry.
Let's try that again.
Oh, buddy. But I think it's something everyone needs to experience. I really kind of do. I think there's a fear to being punched,
Sure.
and once you know that you can take a punch,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gets rid of that fear. Like all of a sudden you acquire the eye of the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been fish hooked, which
Is that the
sucks.
finger in the mouth?
Yeah.
That is
Someone
horrible.
Yeah, I've led a thug life.
Yeah, I guess.
I said something and a kid jumped on me. I started walking away. I said something and started walking away. Lesson be learned, don't ever turn your back after you make a snarky remark.
Trust no one.
And the kid jumped on me and started fish hooking me in the mouth, and he had the dirtiest
Ugh.
fingers. It was gross.
Gross.
But I got him off me, but still. That's the nice thing. You know what? If you do ever get punched, Aaron,
Yeah.
the worst thing you can do is just turn around and smile. When I got sucker punched with those glasses on, I just turned around at the guy and I smiled at him.
Yeah. Blood streaming down your face.
It hurt, but
Yeah.
you look like a psycho when you just smile at him.
Right.
But I do. I think it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have that fear of being punched, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never really punched someone though. I've done the playful thing, but never just like punch someone out of a fight. I mean, every time I've been punched, I still walk away. I'm not a fighter. I'm not afraid of a fight, but I just like I still keep I don't lose my wits. I keep my wits about me. So that's it. I just wanted to bring up getting punched for some reason.
Yeah. I was always curious about that, like what it would be like to be in a fight. I don't know if I think I need to get punched, but I am curious what it feels like to be punched.
Yeah, it's an experience.
I've been punched in the face by a boat. Like,
oh, really?
Like I got thrown off of a jet ski, and by the time I resurfaced, my friend turned around to come get me, and it was perfect timing. Like as I came up, the jet ski, not full speed, but like was moving, and then I got hit in the face, like in the nose with the jet ski. So that was my closest experience to that.
My worst water punch was I was body surfing in Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And Lake Michigan gets some pretty decent sized waves when the storm this passed through or whatever. And, there were probably 5-foot waves, something like that. And started body surfing, and I caught this gnarly wave.
Yeah.
And I went full speed, my nose into someone's elbow.
Oh.
And that hurt. I mean, I am surprised my nose did not break.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
So what did you want to bring
So my random thing is, this will be quick. What is your gaming food / snack of choice? Because I remember, and I guess not just pertaining to gaming, but like when you're using a computer and just like doing, I mean, we illustrate, we do projects on the computer all the time. So like my preference is Twizzlers if I want something sweet.
Oh, I'm going to challenge you on that. Red Vine.
I hate Red Vine.
I love Red Vine.
Yeah.
And I think Red Vine is real licorice. And Twizzlers is just wax.
I feel like Red Vine is weird and grainy and unpleasant in my mouth.
I like Twizzlers too, but I would say if given the choice, I'd usually go Red Vine because I think they have a little more flavor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see the texture is a lot different. Like a Twizzler is more like smooth and shiny, and you can whip people with it, and it hurts.
Yeah.
So I would say anything that makes my fingers orange.
No.
As my Doritos, Cheetos,
But while
anything
you're
like
gaming?
that. And then I just get it all over my controller, and it's
Oh,
all
okay.
gross and nasty. Oh, okay, Dan's just being facetious.
I get it.
You hit the nail on the head with the Twizzlers, the licorice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I love gummy bears,
Yeah.
those kind of things. I'm probably a sweet guy. I like the sweets.
Mm-hmm.
Pretzels, some rolled gold, something like that. Ice cream.
Yeah.
I do like ice cream.
Everything. Yeah.
Skinny Cow brand, I'd say. Delicious.
I think, like, especially if I'm thinking about doing something else, that's why I like the Twizzlers, because it's a real clean snack.
Yeah, it is a clean
You
snack.
can do it without worrying about getting it all over.
I like the way you think. That is true. It's like, you're not getting everything sticky, because I have a big issue with that. I hate
Yeah, that is nasty.
when that happens.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna have to wrap this show up, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go right into the closers and plugs.
All right, so if you want to respond to anything at all that we've talked about today, you can email us, podcast@uphshow.com.
Please email us, too. It'd be nice just to hear from someone.
Yeah.
We don't get any emails.
Read some on the show. It'd be fun.
Yeah. Our Twitter handle is @UPHshow. We've got more activity on Twitter, and that is nice. We appreciate that. But it'd be nice to just hear somebody's story or something that's more than 144 characters.
Yeah. And we're almost at 100 followers on Twitter.
Yeah. I bet we'll get them today.
Yeah. So you can also check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/UPH show.
Subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Please rate, review, give us some love.
Oh, yeah. And find us on Steam. We have a group called Unbelievable Power Hour. Do it.
And then finally, please go to our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube, Unbelievable Power Hour, and watch our Let's Play videos. See our pretty faces from the vidcast of this show. So that'll do it, everybody, for episode 12 of Unbelievable Power Hour. It's been a good show. It's fun.
Yeah.
We got some good gaming conversation, so I enjoyed it.
Yes, it's
so
good.
Until next week, this is Dan and
See you guys. This has been Aaron.
signing off. Bye.
Bye.